How can I, as a gun owner, engage with those friends of mine who feel such grief and anger over events like Buffalo and Uvalde? There seems to be a general thrust that as a gun owner, I'm somehow complicit in this. Is there any way to empathetically respond to these accusations or insinuations, or is the best response not to engage at all? I worry I cede ground in the public debate by not engaging, but am I only making things worse if I do? So I think that speaks to a feeling that a lot of gun owners get in the aftermath of these shootings. I know certainly I do, where you're not only taking in the horror of what happened, but also you're essentially being accused of being in cahoots with the murderer, or being associated with him, or being, wanting these things to happen. Like, this is clearly something that is insinuated or directly said, even by our president, honestly. That was basically President Biden's accusation. And it is hard, right? That's hard to deal with on top of what's already a horrific situation. You've even seen some of the parents being attacked on social media for their views on guns. Parents who just lost an elementary school child being attacked because of their political beliefs on firearms, as though gun owners want these things to happen or don't care that they do.
Right.
So I think that really gets at one of the things, what it's like to be a gun owner or a gun rights advocate in the wake of a horrible shooting like this. But what do you think, Jake? What's the right response?
Well, one thing for sure, as you said, that I totally agree with you on, this is a very relatable phenomenon for a lot of gun owners. I think as soon as you see the massive public, which is an understandable outcry because it is such a horrific incident that no one likes to see, but you feel this impending sense that I'm going to be somehow lumped in with this madman that just committed this horrible crime. So the first thing I would say to the gun owners out there that feel this type of thing is most of us understand. The best thing you can do is just please be a good ambassador for gun ownership. I know a lot of people, obviously no one likes to be put on the defensive with such horrible insinuations or accusations. But you really have to avoid some of the things that you sometimes see out there where gun owners get very defensive and I don't know what the right word would be, but basically talk down to people that, I don't know, you're getting the facts wrong, or how dare you, or you're not going to get my guns. I don't care how emotional you get. That's so counterproductive in situations like these. I know it can be hard to not be fired up when someone makes horrible insinuations about you as a person that's done nothing wrong. But it's just so important to be a good ambassador, especially in moments like these, because it will only make it worse if you're seen as the heartless gun owner who's just going to own the people that are trying or grappling with a horrible incident like this.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point to make. Emotions run high on both sides of the issue, and in the wake of these, and you will get people who say terrible things on the other side as well. So don't react. Try not to react that way. I would say, as far as engaging, I probably would pick and choose the right moments to engage. If there's actually something productive to come out of a conversation with somebody, like, it's, for me, how I approach this is, one, I'm not running out there trying to make political points, immediately. I just find that very distasteful. I can understand why that happens on either side, especially in our current political climate, which is very polarized. And there's a rush by gun control advocates to try and capitalize on what's happened, not necessarily because they are cruel or whatever. They honestly believe in their solutions. They honestly believe that's how you would stop these things from happening. And they also understand the political reality of how reactions to mass shootings go, which is that there's an immediate surge in support for passing new gun control policies, which then wanes over time. So they have become accustomed to trying to take advantage of that immediately, even if it's, Senator Murphy was quite literally on the floor before, we even knew what had actually happened. And that's the reason why, because he genuinely believes that what he wants to do will help, not just because he's a politician. So, but anyway, I think it's important to pick your conversations here,
Yeah.
Try and find areas where it's useful to say something. Don't try to dunk on other people.
Yeah.
You could probably have some headway by just being calm and understanding towards the person that you're talking with. Obviously, if you're, if you know the person, it can be easier to do that, or it could even be harder to do that, of course.
Yeah, sometimes,
depending on the circumstances, how personal the attacks are. But if you don't know the person, if it's some sort of public debate, then it's, engaging with somebody who is clearly not making any sort of good faith argument is not likely to help anyone. I think, certainly you don't necessarily want to, as Edward was saying, like, you don't want to just cede all of the conversation to people operating in bad faith. So you want to be able to have rational conversations and give your honest position on why you own guns, why you view guns as a net positive instead of a net negative for society, how you might solve these problems. I think we'll probably get into this more. There's obviously more questions that are going to be related to these mass shootings, but not any one policy is going to solve any of this. Is one thing I would keep in mind when you're making arguments, when you're discussing these events, like, because the common thing to do on both sides is to just say that, like the president did, that now he did admit that it wouldn't solve everything, but he's putting up assault weapons bans as though they would, be the solution to this nearly on their own. And then you have, of course, Ted Cruz and other Republicans are pointing to added school safety, like single entry points or man traps, like you have in a jewelry store or something, a pawn shop. But it's not to say that either of those things couldn't have an impact in theory, but they get treated as though they're obviously the only thing or the right thing, the magic switch that's going to fix everything. And that's just not reality. And so try to stay away from those kinds of absolutist arguments is what I would encourage.